The motel sat quietly on the edge of the highway, its neon sign flickering in the night. Travelers passed by every day, but few ever stopped. Locals whispered that one of the rooms had never been rented out. Not since the night a family vanished inside. Ethan had been driving for hours when exhaustion forced him to pull over. The clerk at the front desk was an old man with hollow eyes. He slid a key across the counter without a word. The brass tag read Room 6. The hallway smelled of damp carpet and cigarette smoke. Most of the doors were shut tight, but Room 6 stood slightly open, as if waiting for him. Ethan pushed it wider, and the hinges groaned. Inside, the room looked ordinary: bed, nightstand, faded curtains. But the air was colder than the hallway, unnaturally cold. His breath came out in faint clouds, though the summer night outside was sweltering. He tossed his bag on the bed and noticed something strange. The mirror on the wall was covered with a sheet. Curiosity gnawed at him. He pulled the fabric down. The glass was cracked, but it reflected more than it should. Behind him, the reflection showed the curtains swing, though in the real room, they hung still. He turned quickly. Nothing. Shaking it off, he decided to rest. But the moment he closed his eyes, a whisper tickled his ear. Faint. Female. Don't stay here. He sat up, heart pounding. The room was silent. Yet when he looked toward the mirror again, a figure stood there. A woman in a long dress, face pale, eyes hollow. She stood just behind his shoulder, but when he turned, the space was empty. Ethan's pulse raced. He grabbed his bag and bolted for the door, but the handle wouldn't turn. He pulled harder, slammed his shoulder into the wood, but the door didn't move. The whispers grew louder, dozens of voices now, overlapping, circling him. On the nightstand lay a guest book. He hadn't noticed it before. The pages were filled with names, hundreds of them, each ending with the same word scribbled in shaky handwriting. Never left. The sheet he had pulled down earlier slid across the floor on its own and wrapped around his ankles. He fell hard to the carpet, and the whispers turned into a single scream. Stay! The mirror shattered. From the shards spilled countless pale hands, clawing, grabbing, pulling at him. He kicked and screamed, but they dragged him toward the frame. The last thing Ethan saw was his own reflection, mouth wide in a silent scream, before he was yanked into the darkness beyond the glass. When the motel clerk returned the next morning, Room 6 was empty. The bed was made, the air perfectly still. Only the mirror was whole again. No cracks, no signs of a struggle. But if you looked closely, just for a second, you could see a man's face pressed against the glass. His eyes wide, his mouth frozen mid-scream, waiting for the next guest.